A report claims that Matisse Tell could head out on loan in January, just 6 months after the club signed him permanently. Thomas Frank says it's difficult to enjoy being Spurs boss at the moment. More rumours about a move for Savinho. The Johnson departure upsets the dressing room, and rumours grow about a Pochettino return in the summer. Here are your daily Tottenham news headlines. Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name's Craig and here are your daily Tottenham news headlines, where I'll be going through all the latest news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube and are not already as yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. Like, share and comment below. And if you're listening on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Okay, let's get into it. Sport Witness report that Matisse Tell could go out on loan in January. Last summer, Tottenham signed Matisse Tell from Bayern Munich on a permanent transfer after initially signing him on loan in February. The striker hasn't enjoyed regular game time under Thomas Frank this season, starting in only 3 league matches. He scored 2 goals from 419 minutes from 15 matches. Frank has utilised Tell as a substitute in recent weeks. This hasn't pleased the 21-year-old, and he wants to leave Tottenham in the winter market. Galatasaray could open the door and are one of the clubs to have shown interest in him. The Istanbul club are monitoring the Frenchman, who can also operate as a winger. Galatasaray manager Okan Buruk values the Tottenham player's versatility. The Turkish champions will send an official offer to the Premier League side if there are reasonable conditions to sign Tell. There's no mention of what these terms are. Last month, Italian reports had stated that AS Roma had contacted Tell's agent over a potential move in January. They could challenge Galatasaray if Tottenham are prepared to send him out on loan. Reuters report that Spurs manager Thomas Frank likens his time at Tottenham Hotspur to running a grueling marathon, saying he's trying to push through a heavy mile now that he hopes that will pay dividends in the long run. After their scoreless draw at Brentford on Thursday, Spurs are 12th in the standings with just one win in their last 4 Premier League games. During the stalemate, they were chants of boring Tottenham from fans, and Frank was greeted with a chorus of boos when he went over to applaud travelling supporters. Asked if he was enjoying his time in charge of Spurs, Frank said, "When you need to put in a big shift and it's not smooth and it's tough, it's probably difficult to enjoy." The Danish manager said he understood the frustrations of fans and believes success would change their attitude. "When I put myself out of it and look down, I think what a privilege to be in charge of this fantastic club in a period where it's in big transition," Frank said. "It's definitely a marathon, and it definitely seems like it's one of the more heavy miles I'm on now, but head down and keep going." Tottenham Hotspur are reportedly increasingly confident of signing Manchester City forward Savinho as per court offside. With Antoine Semenyo set to join this month, competition for the first team spot will get even tougher. Now, court offside claim that following the Ghanaian's arrival, Manchester City are expected to sell Oscar Bob or Savinho before the deadline. The North London club might attempt to sign the South American on a loan deal with an option or obligation to make the move permanent at the end of this campaign. Savinho is valued at around £39 million by Transfer Market and has a contract until 2031. Therefore, Manchester City are likely to demand a big fee to let him leave. The report says that apart from strengthening the flanks, Tottenham also want a new centre forward with FC Porto star Samu Agahawa high on their wish list. Savinho is a left-footed versatile forward and he's comfortable on either flank. He is still very young and has plenty of time on his side to reach his full potential. Therefore, he might be a great coup for Tottenham should they eventually manage to secure his service in this winter transfer window. Via Hotspur HQ, according to a report from Football.London's Alistair Gold, the Brennan Johnson sale to local rivals Crystal Palace has not been met with resounding praise. Gold says that within the dressing room, Tottenham Hotspur players are upset at the club's upper management for selling Johnson because the Wales international was such a popular player. Like with the Ange Postecoglou firing, there was an outpouring of support from large swathes of the locker room on social media for Brennan Johnson. Obviously, Johnson is a likeable bloke and scored the winner in the Europa League final to forever etch his name into Tottenham's history books, and you would expect nothing less than public praise for the player. Tottenham have to sell at the right time, however, and generate the sort of revenue from players who are not important to the team. And this was clearly the only time Tottenham were going to get anywhere near £30 million for Johnson, a backup right winger, soon to become a third stringer, with Dejan Kulusevski's return to health imminent. Football 365 report that Tottenham Hotspur have an extraordinary plan to bring back Mauricio Pochettino to replace current boss Thomas Frank. Frank was appointed in the summer to replace former head coach Ange Postecoglou, who parted company with the Premier League outfit after helping them win the Europa League. Spurs' current form leaves Frank as one of the favourites to be the next Premier League manager sacked, with it appearing that the club chiefs are not sold on the head coach. One of Frank's main issues is that his tactical approach is a far cry from the ethos demanded by Spurs supporters, with an insider on X claiming owners ENIC are worried that he might not be the right long-term fit for the club. With that, it is also claimed that they are currently making extraordinary plans to bring back club legend Pochettino in the summer. Pochettino is regarded as one of Tottenham's greatest ever managers, and he has been sporadically linked with a potential return to the club in recent years. The 53-year-old, who has also had spells at PSG and Chelsea, currently manages the United States national team and is preparing for next summer's World Cup, but his contract is due to expire at the end of the tournament. And another report from Give Me Sport report that Mauricio Pochettino could return to manage Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham sacked Poch in 2019, of course, following 5 years in charge of the club, with the obvious intention of trying to reach the next level as Jose Mourinho was appointed as the Argentine's successor. Neither Mourinho nor the subsequent hires of Nuno Espirito Santo, Antonio Conte and Ange Postecoglou, taking away the Europa League success, of course, have really worked out, and Frank is yet to really make his mark either. Tottenham Hotspur manager Thomas Frank is coming under increasing pressure from supporters following another disappointing performance against his former side Brentford. Another mid-season managerial change wouldn't be ideal for ENIC, and they would be likely to be unable to convince Pochettino to return to Tottenham Hotspur Stadium now, given he will take charge of the World Cup hosts in 6 months' time. But Spurs should be sounding out the world-class 53-year-old about an extraordinary second spell in charge following the tournament, with reports stating that the club owners see him as the number one target should Frank get the sack. While he's happy in his current job, Pochettino has told the BBC that he would love to return to the Premier League in the future. The appeal of the Argentine is that he is a manager who is loved by the fans, and his appointment would be extremely well received by a majority of supporters. It would be a chance for the Spurs hierarchy to unite everyone at the club, and that is exactly what they need if they want to kick on again. Of course, the old adage is you should never go back to your old club, but Tottenham and Pochettino feels like a different situation to many others. For many reasons, Pochettino coming back to Spurs does feel written in the stars, and he would bring an attractive style of play for fans to enjoy once again. Spurs don't feel like they're going anywhere under Frank at the moment, and while he perhaps does deserve a full season to give him time to implement his ideas, the feeling right now is that it won't work long term. In that regard, Tottenham don't have anything to lose with Pochettino, and he might be the best and most realistic fit for them in the summer of 2026. Even when Pochettino left, it felt as though he would be back managing them again one day, and that moment might not be too far away. Watch this space. Okay, here's my thoughts on all those stories today. Firstly, the loan, or possible loan, for Mathys Tel. It's a bit of a weird one, really, that I've said before, the club hired or bought Mathys Tel in permanently before they appointed Thomas Frank. So, I mean, apparently Thomas Frank gave the okay for this deal because the Frank deal was edging closer, and this was obviously spoken about. But then 6 months later, it looks like Tell's heading out on loan. Frank really hasn't utilised Tell. Now, I know Tell's had his fair amount of stick over the last 6 months, but I think probably Mathys Tell's well within his rights to be a bit annoyed. He hasn't had that many chances. I don't think Mathys Tel should be the number one starter each week, but I think he deserved a chance. And I think when I've seen him, like the Leeds game, I thought he scored a really good goal in the Leeds game. Him and Odegaard actually played really well in that game. I'd just like to see Matisse Tell given a bit more of a chance, but he hasn't been. So obviously Frank and the club doesn't see him perhaps as is it another Brennan Johnson situation where they don't see him being part of the long-term plans or just as a substitute? I think Matisse Tell's probably well within his rights to be upset with his playing minutes this season. So we'll see how that one goes. Frank saying it's difficult to enjoy being a Spurs boss. It's probably difficult being a fan at the moment, I would say. It's incredibly difficult. Week after week, you think we've just turned the corner, and then a bad performance comes along and spoils it again. So I know we're short on players at the moment with injuries, suspensions and all that kind of stuff, but the Brentford game was horrendous. We all know that. We all watched it with our own eyes. A bloke fell asleep in the crowd actually watching that, a Tottenham fan that called into TalkSport. Quite incredible, really. So yeah, Frank saying it's difficult to enjoy. I bet it is. He must be frustrated he can't get it right. But he said he played attacking football when he came in to Spurs, and we haven't seen tons of it, have we? Just want to see more of it, a bit more desire and wish to go forward rather than, set up to not concede. That's all very well and good, but come on, you've got to win football matches. Another rumour about Savinho, as I said before, this is going to rattle on most of the transfer window, I'm sure. Spurs very keen on Savinho. Not much else to say about this, really. We all know about Savinho. I like Savinho as a player. If we can get the deal done at the right price, I'm all for it. So let's see where that one goes. Johnson departure being not very, the dressing room, not very happy with that. I can see that. Johnson was a very popular figure in amongst the dressing room, especially Archie Gray. Him and Archie Gray were thick as thieves. They always knocking around together and messing around. I saw in James Maddison's videos on his YouTube channel, they're always in the background, always together. Johnson seemed to get on with everybody, and everybody will remember Brennan Johnson for the goal, of course, he scored in the Europa League final, winning us that cup. So, yep, his name's forever going to be etched in Spurs history. I'm a bit surprised, Brennan Johnson, if he did want to stay at Spurs that much, that when Thomas Frank told him he wasn't in his plans, he could have quite easily turned around and said, well, I want to stay at Spurs, and probably thinking in the back of his mind, I'm going to outlast you anyway. So he could have easily put his foot down and just said, I'm staying, and even evaluated deals later in the window. But he's opted for Palace. The player wants to play, so that's fine. Good luck to Brennan Johnson. We'll always remember you for your Bilbao goal 100%. And the final stories today about the Pochettino return. There's more and more of these cropping up now. Pochettino is always going to be linked with a return for Spurs when the manager's seen as being in a bit of trouble and a bit of problems. It just seems to me the stars are aligning on this a bit, with the World Cup being in the summer and Pochettino's contract running out after the World Cup. Could this be the time? Is this the right time? Does it feel like the right time for Pochettino to return? Probably previously it hasn't been right, but now with all the changes behind the scenes with Daniel Levy and Donna Cullen going, new management structure, if Spurs decide to part ways with Thomas Frank, whether it be now or at the end of the season, is Pochettino the answer? For me, it would be. I would love to see a Pochettino return. Now, some people say he should never go back. What did he win at Spurs? Well, how close did we come, and how good did it feel under Pochettino? Yes, sometimes it doesn't work, but there are always times when it does. I just think the squad that Pochettino could inherit, although people saying we definitely need strengthening in certain areas, and we do, I think Pochettino gets a lot out of this squad should the club decide to go back in for him. But get down in the comments, let me know your thoughts on any of those stories today, and your thoughts on a Pochettino return. Not everybody would want Poch back if we were to get rid of Thomas Frank, but let me know in the comments, and let me know anything else you're feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now. Vent it all in the comments. We do love to read your comments. That's all from me today. As always, come on you Spurs.